I've been messing around with YouTube ads the last 3 months, and I wanted to share some of my quick learnings running ads. Now, I've been running ads for my church and for ministries and for friends for the last 10 years. Have a lot of experience on Meta's platform, specifically, Facebook ads and Instagram ads. I've done um, Google ads over the years and even TikTok ads and um, you know, uh, Bing ads, Twitter ads, and even I've done YouTube ads in the past when they first expanded to Google AdSense. But pretty much recently, what happened was uh, we launched a custom product at our service for our online service, and what we did was we um, we built this service that's just for those online. And so we used to stream something for it was just our largest service, and it was just kind of a rebroadcast of our large service online with some clips on the front end and back end. Well, we launched this custom service just for YouTube, and we're actually leaning heavy into a custom service just for those who watch on YouTube. And it's a little shorter. We shoot some custom stuff in the studio. It does some very unique things. Well, because of this, it wasn't just this thing happening in room. It was actually built for YouTube. So I thought this would be fun to kind of experiment with ads because it's actually worth it. And I knew Google had started to really expand some of their tools that they actually offer for those running ads. One of the drawbacks of Google ads is that I think in the last, probably 5 years, Meta just kind of their features of what they offer to run ads just are so good. Specifically, the lookalike audience tactics on Meta's ad platform, and obviously, just the expansion of Facebook, Instagram, and even integrating WhatsApp and their partner networks. It's so big and it's so easy to use. Meta's tool, even though it does feel a little like it feels like Microsoft in the cloud sometimes, the way it kind of loads, it kind of can feel a little laggy. It's still so easy to do targeting parameters. It's so easy to target certain ages, genders, even geography. Like, it's easy to put in an address, a city and say, I just want 5 mile radius of my church, for example. Then lookalike data, when some of this is limited behind setting up a business manager account. You can clone people who follow your Instagram account or your Facebook page. You can upload email addresses and they'll match people like that. It's so easy. And so Meta just kind of owned that, that kind of area. Google never went anywhere because, Google ads have always been a dominant, search kind of display ads. But I will say display ads are very different. Like in Google search, they're a different type of ad. It's more discovery. And so you link a search word, with text. And so if they're on Google, it's just different than, let's say, in a feed. And so, for example, on Meta, a lot of the ads that I run now are way more vertical video messenger ads, trying to get them to message our Facebook page or our Instagram account, trying to start a conversation. I'm rarely running ads kind of externally linked with a web page. I'm still you do it, but a lot of the ad spend that I do on Meta now are like trying to start new conversations with people. And I can, if you're interested, maybe comment on this. I can show, the type of ads we're running and how we set those up. But they're really like trying to get message type of ads for churches, I think, and ministries are really compelling for Instagram and Facebook. But with Google, outside of like nonprofit Google grant type of stuff, there's very minimal we're doing. But with this custom service we launched online, I wanted to kind of revisit YouTube ads and just kind of learn. And I learned by trial and error. And so it's like, okay, let's go do it. And so I wanted to share some of my learnings with this. Um, I don't think you should use um, you know, Google's video kind of display ads to just promote your weekend worship service. We're only doing this because we build something custom for YouTube. And I will say, probably, ongoing 75% of our ad budget in a year is going to go towards YouTube ads. And then 25% are going to be kind of like salvation focused meta business platform type of ads. But we're doing this because we have this custom service that we talk to those on YouTube. I think for most churches, for example, if you're going to do a YouTube ad, I would make it a 2 to 3 minute, some kind of story that targets people in your community. And you might lean into family. Maybe it's a story of a family's, that they're changed. And the idea is that they're driving by your church, or they may not even know your church is there. And if they see an ad about you, that might, connect the dots. I recently went to Lowe's, which is a construction, it's like a Home Depot by my house, and I saw to the left when I drove into this parking lot. I drove on one end of the parking lot because I just dropped off my son at middle school, and I never come in on this side, but I needed to go to Lowe's to grab something. And I noticed there was a church on the far end of the parking lot that I never knew was there. And I always think of this like there's so many churches in your community that people just don't know. And so you either get invited to a church or you become made aware of it because either a story or an ad or something happens. And I think ads are compelling, but you have to do it right. And so I just want to share a little bit of learnings. My hope is this is something that may encourage you to run and test YouTube ads, maybe for Christmas, Easter, or maybe an ongoing type of ad. I just want to show some of my learnings. This is not like you got to go do this. I just wanted to peek in a little bit. So this is to run YouTube ads. You can run YouTube ads on your YouTube channel directly, meaning you can go to your YouTube channel, depending on kind of your status, you can run ads directly through the YouTube interface. I don't think that those are usually great ads. It's kind of like boosting on Facebook or Instagram. They're going to take your money, but they're not super targeted. I would recommend if you're going to run YouTube ads, don't use the YouTube channel interface. So if you just log into YouTube Studio, there are some features to run ads there. But I would run it all through Google AdSense platform. So it's ads.google.com, sign up. They actually have a lot of freebies. Like if you spend $500, I think you get $500. So I might even just think about that way. Maybe allocate $500 so you can get another $500 in ads just as a test. So when you do this, I just wanted to show you a little bit of how we do this. So again, this isn't like a super fancy thing, but I'll kind of show you some of these. So you go to create, you can there's a couple different ways to do this, but when you run this, you have a bunch of different ways. You can do website traffic, which is a referral ad. So if you want to send them to a page on your website, be that. You can do a bunch of different stuff. Typically, when you run ads on Google AdSense, you're going to stay in website traffic or reach awareness. Now, I've done reach awareness ads. Again, I think generally when you use this platform, I think Google is a better platform when you actually are selling something. It's kind of like Instagram is this way. Like Instagram costs a lot to run ads just on Instagram, but if you're selling something, you can monetize it very directly. And so I think this is why for churches and ministries, it's hard to really run really good ads in some of these because you're not necessarily selling something. So usually you want to lean into like, how do you get the best bang for your buck? Reach and awareness generally historically aren't great ways to run ads because it's kind of like it's a Coca-Cola saturation thing where it's like available everywhere. But I think for evangelism strategy, if you think of it like YouTube ads are, it's the second biggest search engine. It's leaning very, very young. And the idea is that you just want a story or something about your church to pop up in someone's feed and you run it in like a 30-mile radius of your physical church. I think that's the idea. And so you want awareness, display, in this case, I'm just going to focus in on isolate video. Now you have a couple of different options here. Historically, it was just video reach. And I've in the past ran ads using video reach. I've run ads this way. It was okay. I think I got a lot of views, but I didn't get a lot of engagement, I would say deeply. They recently launched video views, and I think so. We've been running ads on this, and so at our church, when we track attendance online, we actually track a 30-minute retention metric, and I've been super impressed by our ads. We spend like $75 a week on an ad, and I've been getting something in the neighborhood of, probably, 4,000 to somewhere between 25 to 4,000 people watching 30 minutes of our worship service online. Now, two things. First, I think it's a custom service for online. So I think that's why our engagement's going to be a little bit higher than probably yours. Second, I do think this video view feature type of campaign is new. And so there's not enough inventory. So I think we're getting, um, it's serving a little better. Anytime you launch a new feature like Reels or Stories or something, you always notice your engagement's better because not enough people are using it. I think it will get less, less good over the next, uh, you know, couple of months. But I've noticed if you run it this way, they optimize it pretty good and they're matching some of the features on Meta a lot better to make you actually think maybe YouTube ads are a good thing. And so I select this. Um, so I do video views. I like keeping the date because it's helpful when you're kind of reviewing it. What I've been doing is like $75 a week. You don't need to do anything else. You select an end date. So like typically I set it up on like a Saturday and I'm running it for a week. So in this case, let's just end it on Sunday. So I usually don't run it long. I do think if you're testing this out, I would spend less, maybe like $40 or $30 and just run it for a couple days. The idea with ads is that you have to test things out. And so if you have $500 to spend, don't set up a campaign for $500. Set it up for $50 for a week and then see if the results are good. And if the results are good, then you can expand the date range and increase the budget. They will spend your money pretty quickly. You don't need to touch anything on the networks. They'll automatically do this. Now, this is where it's really fun. You can do different locations. So like what we typically do is we run the ads where we have campuses or we want campuses or we're considering having campuses. So I might do, for example, at my church, United States, Argentina, Hong Kong, Germany, the Philippines. Then I might go, oh, wait, we're really thinking about going to Singapore. And so like maybe that's something we should run. You can also, what I would say for most churches, what I would do is I would do radius and I would be like Mission Viejo, like wherever your church is, and you would do, you know, 30-mile radius, whatever it is, and then you would save. And then that would target the ad there. And that's actually where I think most churches should do. You shouldn't just do all of the United States or the whole world. I ran this ad as a test when I was first testing this out. It was funny because we I set up the ad just testing out YouTube ads, and our attendance, let's say 30 minutes in an average week right now is 13,000 people watch 30 minutes across our website, apps, and YouTube and all this. And we do have a multiplier as well. And so it's more like 8,000, 9,000 with a 1.5 multiplier. So it's funny, like my attendance that week went up to like 19,000. And that's with a multiplier. But I had to actually tell our accounting and I told my boss and stuff. I was like, hey, I'm testing on the ad. And I found out when I ran the ad that week, I was testing out, so I didn't put any parameters on it. And essentially what happened was it had spent all my engagement in India, a high percentage, like 75%. And so I couldn't replicate this ad. So I had gotten tons of engagement in India, but there are some of these countries that I will say that these ad platforms kind of over lean towards, mainly because they're trying, when you put your cost to it, like a dollar per view or a dollar per whatever, they're going to optimize for what's the cheapest. And so it could skew. So like it can skew like to the Philippines, to skew to India, Pakistan, some of these places where there's so many people and so many people on the platform that it's more affordable. So if you just focus, for example, in your region, it's going to cost more because, technically from the company side, an American user on this platform can spend more money than somebody in India or somebody in Pakistan or somebody in the Philippines. And so, like, for example, something I do is that I run our 5 partner countries. And then after I get a certain amount of views on the video, I just do United States for the remaining because I think like I want to lean more United States. And so, but I say this, use the location parameters when you run it, target English or whatever languages. This allows people who speak English, and again, adjust. Um, Again, they have some of these new things where get more, 40% more, allowing Google to find the right mix of formats. And so they'll line it between YouTube, Google, video and all sorts of stuff. Whenever there's something new, I would highly suggest you checking it out on these ad platforms because they don't have enough inventory or people using it, and you will benefit from it long term. At least that's what I found. And then demographics, you can skew it. Like, for example, sometimes I run ads just I'll go, you know what? I just want people from 25 to 40 to 54. You can do house. I don't really check much of this, but if you know your target, you can get very specific. The more targeted you are, it will cost more, which is, okay. I generally like to be pretty broad. I go off and on getting maybe a little younger. Like I've run ads just 25 to 44 because I just want to see it. It does cost more, but it's really helpful, especially if um, you're a church that's better at this age, get more targeted. Now, this is where you can do a lot of cool stuff. Um, you can generally what happens with this is that you can browse and you can do all sorts of stuff like people that are uneducated, that are educated. You can do people that are recently divorced. You can do all sorts of things, people that have moved. You can browse and search some of those things. Those are fun segments. I actually don't think you need to, if you're just trying to get awareness in your community, you're just targeting new people in your community. I think you can just run the ad, do the radius, and just do it that way. It's pretty affordable. You don't need to get super fancy. But if you wanted to get fancy with targeting parameters, there's something called the audience manager. Now, this is pretty robust. And this is where I've been super impressed by Google over the last couple years. They're trying to be more competitive with Meta. So a couple ways you can do this. If you have Google Analytics connected to your website or any of your platforms, you can actually create audiences based off people who visit your website. So very helpful. Now it takes some setup and uses, but it's really helpful. Customer list. If you have a list of emails of people, what you can do is you can upload those emails and you can Google will associate their Google account and try to find people like that. So for example, I actually tested this out because I've done this on I had a list of emails of people that had accepted Jesus and over a course of a couple of years. And what I did was I was storing the info on MailChimp at the time. And I actually did this on Meta. This is years ago. And you can create a lookalike audience, and Meta would match their email that you have. And they go, okay, so this 1,000 people accepted Jesus. We're going to find 1,000 other people like that. And so it's a really cool way to kind of create a custom audience, and you can use their algorithm to kind of find people. I did this. I had an email list. Now, what I found is that you need a minimum, they need to match a minimum of 1,000 people. And so I only had, um, I think I had only like 800, 900 people, but they told me here that I need 1,000. So it's going to be hard for the normal church. Now, if you wanted to upload your whole church's database to this, you could do that. I will say one thing that's just a big caveat to this is privacy concerns. I think more GDPR, what's going on in Europe, and that's just happening in the US. I'm doing less of this because if a member of your church or somebody gives you an email, it's going to be hard moving forward to do some of these things with email addresses because you don't want to just give people's emails away. This used to be more okay in the past, but moving forward, we're doing less of this. And most likely you probably don't have enough emails even to do it. One thing that I haven't tried yet, but I'm very excited because this is kind of like cloning on Meta's platform. You can clone people based off of if they like or follow your account. You can now do this with YouTube users. I haven't used this yet, but now it's going to be limited. If you have a small YouTube channel, you're probably not going to have enough. Our church has over 500,000 subscribers, so I'm definitely going to try this out. But this is where I'm getting excited about Google and YouTube. Like they're doing more stuff to be competitive to Meta, and so I'm going to mess around with that. But I think at a high level, I would say you can just do age range and just target people that way and get more targeted with this. Do a lot of experimenting with it. You can focus in on different things, like if they like technology. I haven't had great success messing around with this. Meta's platform is a lot better on this. When you target ads, you can actually target people who recently moved, and it's a little bit easier to find this stuff. I haven't been super impressed by this. You can target by keywords um, and placement. Topics is actually more of it. Now, one of the things I will say a caveat is that Meta has an algorithm that automatically, like an AI that automatically detects religious words. And essentially, the more religious your words are, the more likely your ad's going to be blocked. So I run into this. So what happens is technically an ad, I started to remove the word church from any of my ad titles of my videos because I found if it had worship service or church in the title, my ad would automatically not be eligible. And what I would have to do is I would have to appeal the block 2 to 3 times before a human would review it. And so this could take 3 to 5 days. So my encouragement is any videos that you choose to run on this, don't use religious words unless you want to go through the appeal process because it's not fun. Trust me. It's taken 5 days to get an ad because what happens is an algorithm AI will auto block a ad because they're saying that you're religiously targeting people. And so what happens is you have to appeal it 2 to 3 times till a human actually sees it. And the human most likely will remove it because unless if your video is just obnoxious, a worship service usually isn't. But my suggestion is I started to remove any religious words from the title. And like for example, this one's just our ad says, and I'll show you, it says window of waiting and it says watch event. And it automatically gets approved. And so just FYI. And so you can browse all sorts of topics here and do all sorts of things, but I just want to show you how I do this. This is what I do. I put in the video here. Obviously, this is a long video. They're going to suggest under 3 minutes. I think you should stick to that to the average church unless you're creating something custom. I do the final URL. I do the title. Sometimes my titles are too long. Waiting, and then I say watch event. So, and it will show you a preview here. You can actually preview it on YouTube. You can do all sorts of stuff. And then I do $1. $1 standard. Now, you're not going to spend $1 for that, but it will optimize it based off your country and your stuff. And then you just hit submit, and it's really easy. And my encouragement is to really mess around with this. I think YouTube ads for churches is really compelling, and I think there's something to it that is worth figuring out. One thing I was going to say is that you can get Google Ad Video certified if you just type in video certification. They have a plugin with, not a plugin, but a partnership with Skillshop or whatever. I will say that I got certified, recently. I didn't think it was really worth it. It was helpful in learning the process. I think I would just watch more YouTube videos on how to run great YouTube ads. That's what I have found. And so my encouragement to you is to test out YouTube ads in the next month. I think for a lot of accounts, you'll get $500 credit if you kind of do it. My encouragement is to find a story or a video that is under 3 minutes and run the ad for a month. I wouldn't promote your worship service like we're doing because it's something unique. And just pick a radius of your church and just see how it works. The cool thing about YouTube ads is I don't think enough people are using it. Most people are still using Meta because it's so easy. And I think we're in this window the next 6 months that YouTube ads will just kind of continue to grow. And I think it's super helpful. And I think considering like, people are using YouTube more and more and it's growing, I think it's a really compelling place to kind of run an ad. And so I would consider just trying something out, get some approval to run a budget, maybe $500 to test around some ads and continue to use YouTube to kind of learn how to run better ads. There's tons of tutorials. I wouldn't get Google Video Ad certified, but it's something to check out. Before we end, I wanted to let you know that I am doing a digital cohort in 2024. I'm accepting about 7 churches. This is a paid kind of cohort. And if you're interested, you can check out my website at jkranda.com and do the contact form. You can comment below. I would love to send you some of the info about how I'm kind of accepting people into that cohort. I'm going to be probably locking people in at the end, mid-January. So if you're interested in that cohort, actually one of the things we talk about is actually Meta ads and Google ads. So we go into this a little bit deeper and I can send you more about that. But I'm praying as you launch your YouTube ads for your church. And if you're interested in the digital cohort, let me know down in the comments or visit my website.